It's a tradition unlike any other in the world of sports, as the New York Jets and their fans will once again look forward to the upcoming NFL draft before Halloween even hits. I'm Glenn Naughton with Jet Nation Radio and JetNation.com. Be sure to log into JetNation.com where you can register and become a part of what is the most active and still angry Jets Mets. Apologies for that, folks. If we're a couple minutes in, if you guys are only barely hearing me or not hearing me at all, um, basically, yes, this team is pathetic. The audio is jacked, apparently, just like the Jets. No good, right? So again, I don't feel bad for being optimistic about this team because there was plenty of reason for optimism. There was a million reasons to feel good about this club coming into the year. And the Jets do what the Jets do. Greg Zuerlein left 4 points on the board. As a human being, I feel bad for Greg Zuerlein. He's about to be out of work. But this is a league where if you don't do your job or if you fail as badly as he has, you don't get to stay in your job. He's missed 6 field goals more than any other kicker in the NFL this year. You could make the case if he's maybe if Greg Zuerlein is the player he was last year, this team has a much better record. But it shouldn't come down to the kicker. Not when you've added Aaron Rodgers and you have all the pieces this team has. They're not inspired. They're often flat. I mean, they can't get a play in. It's week 8, and they're taking delay of game penalties. Routinely, every week, every week they either have multiple delay of game penalties or they have multiple plays where they shave it down to the last millisecond. And every now and then they get lucky and it doesn't get called. Or they get the snap off as that one is turning into a 0. They can't get a play call in on time. Week 8, Hall of Fame quarterback. Is it Rodgers' fault? Is he calling the plays in and running them? Probably not. Is he adjusting at the line a lot? Probably. Michael says get rid of Breece Hall and look, Zuerlein's gone. Breece isn't going anywhere. I was a little, today of all days that they split the carries evenly between him and Braylon Allen. Breece was running much better than Braylon Allen was, but they split it and that slowed them down a little bit. But it doesn't matter. Season's over, folks. It's draft time. Deion Walker, University of Kentucky. Keep an eye on him. I feel like he's a guy that the Jets should be looking very closely at. He'll probably be in the range they end up at. Well, they keep playing like this, and they might be in the top 3. But we'll see about that. But look, Deion Walker, really good player. Teteroya McMillan out of Arizona, the wide receiver. Jeff Ulbrich just kicked off his press conference. I don't have audio on. I'll refer every few seconds to Twitter and see if the beat writers put anything up. But again, let's see. Zuerlein cost the Jets 3-4 points. Garrett was great. Garrett was not great. Garrett was good. Garrett had that drop late. And listen, you could argue the drop wouldn't matter because Zuerlein would have had to make the kick. But that drop late looked like he could have had him in range. Zerline has to make those kicks. Points matter. He's missed crucial kicks all season. Yeah, I don't disagree with that, Edwin. John says, "Give me Shador Sanders." Look, Shador Sanders, hell of a player. Super tough. That guy takes a beating. Throws an accurate ball. Throws a touch. Throws a velocity. I like Shador. I do wonder what it's going to be like to deal with his father as an agent. And I could see teams, if you have a shot at a quarterback, if you're in the top 2 or 3 and you're choosing between Shador and, say, Cam Ward, I don't know. I might take Cam Ward. But either way, I expect Rodgers to retire after the season, and the Jets will be looking for a quarterback in round 1. And then, look, I remember saying, I think it was this offseason, where I said the way this trade could go, or could be the absolute worst thing this team has ever done, would be if Rodgers couldn't stay healthy and he had to step aside after the season, and the Jets didn't draft a quarterback in the top, 50, top 100. Basically, Jets don't use a premium pick on a quarterback because they have Rodgers. But then Rodgers goes, but the cap hits stay, and that appears to be where we're heading. After the season, it's likely Rodgers is gone. It's likely you're starting back. Well, you will be starting back at square one at quarterback. And you're going to have some pretty big cap hits, a lot of dead money on Aaron Rodgers. So we'll see. GM Island Empire, it looked to me like the defender was able to rip that out of his hands. So if that was a catch, well, it wouldn't have been a fumble because he was down by contact. I'd have to see it again, honestly. The live angle was no good, and I only saw the replay from one good angle, and it looked to me like they got the ball out, but I could be wrong on that. Garrett Wilson is a number 2. I would say Garrett Wilson is a 1A. He's better than a 2. He's just not he's not Justin Jefferson. He's not, he's not in a top level number 1, but he is a 1A absolutely. Again, he got 1,000 yards with Dak friggin' Wilson at quarterback. He may not replicate that with Aaron Rodgers, although, who cares? Who cares about the individual numbers? Season's over. Jets lose 25-22. I'm gonna let's pop over to Twitter real quick and see if Jeff Ulbrich is saying anything at least halfway interesting. I mean, what's he gonna say? He says they're gonna take a hard look at the kicker situation. No joke, no kidding. I think that's what I started up by saying. We weren't our best. We talk about being our best. It's not who we are until we've demonstrated. Yeah, it's not good enough. We know that, Jeff. By the way, don't forget those season ticket payments. Get those payments in for next year's tickets. Woody would like his money now. So don't get right on that. As soon as you get home from this game, if you drove up and made that trip up to New England. Charles said Sauce is a bum. Sauce isn't a bum, but he's having a bad year. But this is what happens when you're having a down year and you're not playing up to expectations. Fans turn on you, and fans hate you, and fans want you gone, and fans want everyone traded, and everybody sucks, and everyone's overrated, and we shouldn't have brought any of these guys in. And bottom line, if you put Sauce on the market tomorrow, he get you multiple wins. That a bum doesn't do that. Should have been 20. It should have been DM Island Empire. It certainly should have been. But the Jets. I mean, if I would have told you before this season that the Jets are going to be undone by their kicker, and look, it's not just Zerline. These games shouldn't be coming down to the kicker with all the talent they have. But if I were to say to you, Greg Zerline's going to have a down year, and that's going to have the Jets at 2-6 instead of 4-4. Again, I'm not going to argue with people about Sauce. Again, say he sucks, that's fine. I remember when Quinn and Williams sucked. Everybody sucks when the team isn't winning. But the numbers speak for themselves. Sauce had a bad day today. He goes weeks at a time without seeing a single target. Because other teams don't. He doesn't suck. What coach would come here? Not a good one. Well, Woody is going to have to pay through the nose if he wants a good coach. Okay. Woody is going to have to pay a boatload of cash to get a good coach in here. Look, I've since the Gase hire, I've been saying Monken. And look, there's plenty of time to think about that. It's you got how many more games till the season is officially over? 2-6, 9 weeks with the bye, 10 weeks. So we got 10 weeks till the season's over. Need Woody to sell. Not going to happen. What Ray? The way I always put out to people is, would you, if you owned the team, would you sell? No, you wouldn't. And neither will Woody. He's not selling. Team is now, I think, 55 games under 500 since Woody took over. They're bad. The Jets are bad. The Jets are almost always bad. Had some high hopes this year. Didn't matter. They just did what they do. So it's a 25-22 loss to the Patriots. The Patriots started scoring. And let's face it, if Drake May plays this whole game, the Patriots probably blow the Jets out. Game's probably not even close. But anyway, Drake May opens the scoring with a touchdown in the first quarter. Then Tyler Conklin gets one of his own a little later on, a 2-yarder. And Zerline misses the kick, so it's 7-6. Then Xavier Gipson, congrats to him. First career touchdown on a 1-yard toss from Rodgers, which was really a nice catch from Gipson. Rodgers liked it, he put it low where only Gipson could get it, but he could barely get it. He got one hand underneath, scooped it up. Touchdown for Gipson, made it 13-7 Jets. Zerline hit the extra point. Good job. Then Ramondre Stevenson in the third quarter. New England came out in the third quarter and just powered the Jets over on that first drive. 3-yard TD run for him. Then Zerline hits his only field goal of the day in the third. Pats get a field goal in the fourth quarter, and the Jets score a touchdown with 2:57 remaining to take the lead. Braylon Allen on a 2-yard run. The Jets don't even try the extra point because Zerline is such a mess. Even after the delay of game penalty because they can't get a play in, the Jets can't move back to the 7. They still try it, and it's no good. Ramondre Stevenson then scores with 22 seconds left on the clock to end the game. The Jets get the ball. They run a couple plays. Rodgers take a shot down the middle of the field, and Garrett Wilson can't hold on. GM Island says he thinks he held on. I saw the replay one time. It looked like they were able to pop it out. Beloved P says he wanted Monken. Same thing, man. Look, Monken, look at his coaching history. Look at his OC history. He wins wherever he goes. He gets the most out of his quarterbacks wherever he's what you want in a coach. Get me a coach who gets the most out of his players and can develop a quarterback. Odd Monken. That's what he does. Jets can't finish drives. Jets can't start drives, Dave. They can't do anything. They're terrible. Mosley was hurt without taking a snap. Charles, I can't help but wonder if this is and we'll see if he plays again this season. But he's been getting so out. And I'm not knocking Mosley. I just think Sherwood's been very good and much younger. Surratt's younger. Both these guys are younger, faster guys. I wonder if they said to Mosley, like, hey, man, we're not going to bench you because you're out of respect, but you're not playing anymore. So let's go ahead and cook up some injuries. We'll IR you, and you can move on. I'm just guessing, but I mean, I've been thinking for a couple weeks now. What are they going to do when Mosley's healthy? Because they love him, and he's paid his dues, and he's a respected guy in the locker room, in the media, by the fans. It's tough to bench those guys. But maybe this is the way they bench him. Maybe we'll see how that plays out if Mosley plays again. Season ticket holders should get a discount. Tell you what, man, I mean, that'll never happen, but you're not wrong. There's something. Monken, Dylan, feel free to join in if you like, bud. Let me know if you want me to send you the link. I'm going to send this over to Dylan real fast. Dylan and Chris. Okay, well, Chris is doing but he's on the I'm drawing a blank. Locked on network. Posting show that. So he's doing that. He's yelling and screaming right now while I'm yelling and screaming here. So I'm gonna go ahead and try that. Yeah, there we go. So we'll see if Dylan joins in. Sherwood is fast and a sure tackler. Yeah, Mosley. Yep. Yeah, I think Sherwood has overtaken Mosley to a degree that yep. You're not gonna have to worry about moving on from Rodgers. I think Rodgers retires. He's not gonna hang around after the season. Why would he? Why would Aaron Rodgers hang around with this team? He's probably beside himself right now. He's never been. Aaron Rodgers has never experienced anything like this, and he hasn't been great either. So let's not just put it on everybody else. Baffling, we can't get the playoff before the clock dies. It's been an issue all season. Frankly, that's what I'm saying. I do remember Dylan saying, because Dylan had said before, remember during the trade negotiation, Dylan said a good friend of his is a Packer fan, so Dylan has watched a million Packers. Like, he's watched Rodgers like he's a Packer. And Dylan mentioned at one point, he was like, oh, yeah, Rodgers always drove fans in Green Bay crazy with this because he would always run it down to the final second and they would take some penalties. So apparently it's always been a thing. That's per Dylan. We'll ask him if he does join us, if Dylan hops on. Telling you this team is playing like this because Aaron Rodgers has no leadership. He's a bum. I don't agree with that. I think it's the opposite. I think he might be his standards. And again, I'm not saying he's playing well because he's not. But I think some of the disconnect, some of the issues can be his level of preparation, his expectations. Because listen, I've seen people say it. Oh, Frankie, what's up, man? I've seen people say like Rodgers is checked out. Rodgers doesn't care. Dude, he's 40 years old, getting his ass beat back there every week. He would, if he didn't care, he'd be like, "Ow, my back, IR, I'm out." That's all, and he could be done. He could leave, but he's not. He's coming back every week, getting his ass beat every. Now he might do it now because the season's over. When's the last time Aaron Rodgers had 8, 9? I said it 5 minutes. You already forgot. How many meaningless games is Aaron Rodgers about to play? You think he's going to do that and just getting all beat up? And could you blame him at 40 if he just said, you know what, I'm gonna go on IR? Let's see, who could possibly hire as a new coach? Well, again, that's going to be the question. The question is what, and this is a question every time the Jets hire a coach. One of the biggest questions is there a premium coach with multiple options who is going to be willing to work for Woody Johnson? You tell me. You think there's a great premium coach out there who's going to have 7 or 8 job options? Who's going to say, I want to work for Woody Johnson? I don't know that will be the case. Let's see. First pick. Now, listen, Carolina's got the first pick. Carolina Panthers have that thing locked up. You can let them pick now. You can let them pick today. Vrabel, Jesus, they go defense again. They probably will. What do you? Yeah. What is? When did they let? They don't. They don't. One time they deviated from offense and they bring in a psychopath, Adam friggin' Days. But, we talk about him. When he was out of the country, and Chris Johnson hired him. Maybe he did, but you don't think I know the NFL rules say an NFL owner can't be involved if he's also ambassador in somewhere. You don't think there was a phone call about, hey, Woody? Look, I don't know. I just think it'd be weird. Again, if I owned the team and decided I wanted to go play ambassador for a while, and the team was hiring a new coach, I wouldn't call the guy who's running the day-to-day and be like, listen, who are you looking at? What are the names? Who are we thinking here? That's just me. I would have broken the rules. Look at that. Just risks getting myself excluded from never buying the NFL team. So, yeah, Vrabel, I doubt it, but who the hell knows? Rodgers got sacked once today. He got that's once today, but he's been hit about 1,000 times this year. Rex Ryan, says David. I've seen Rex's name a lot. And don't get me wrong. I loved Rex. And I remember people telling me when Rex got fired, the clown show is finally over and we can become a legitimate team. Look at Todd Bowles. Look at how serious he is. This guy's going to whip these guys into shape. And we finally have. Yeah, really? Is that what was going to happen? And we have now joining us our good friend, Dylan Tereman. Dylan, how are we doing today? How did you enjoy the 2024 Jets season, by the way?
Oh, man.
Wasn't that fun? I can't wait till next year.
Yeah, seriously.
It's going to be awesome.
I don't even have words. And normally I don't do the post-game stuff because I am too emotional. But I came into this game with no emotion, no expectations.
We both picked the Patriots, by the way.
Yes, we did. And somehow
you and I both picked the Patriots to win this game.
Somehow still let down. I don't understand. They find new ways. 85 points under Jeff Ulbrich in the last 3 games. The stuff just continues defensively, offensively. I know you mentioned it. The timeouts on offense, they try to get the right play in. It's definitely a Rodgers issue more than a coaching issue. I'm willing to live with it because we've seen the success after it. Today wasn't as successful, but they still put up points. They put up 22 points. They had 3 scoring drives. They had a field goal miss, an extra point miss. They lose by 3. They leave 4 on the board. So it's a tough game. I blame the defense more than anything. I see the comments are kind of all over the place with the blame, but I don't know. This one to me was defense. They had the Patriots dead to rights again, like just like they had the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they come out in the second half and they can't stop anything. So it's a tough
By
one.
the way, Panthers up 7-0, so maybe that number one pick isn't as far out of reach as I thought it was.
Yeah, I don't think that they're necessarily a lock, but I mean they're definitely the front runner for sure for the number one pick. We hold 4, so I mean. I don't know. I'm optimistic. Maybe you get a nice pass catcher in there for Rodgers in 2025. And I know you asked it. You said, why does he come back? Number 17. First and foremost, that would be the only reason that he would come back is Devontae Adams is still here. It doesn't seem like Devontae wanted to be here just for a 1-year rental. But I said it last week. I was like, if you're getting a new GM, a new head coach, obviously – you're going to give them the power to decide Rodgers' fate. You're not going to give it to Rodgers to say, oh, I want to hold this franchise, not hostage, but I want to come back next year, do it all again, reload instead of rebuild, so to speak. And that's just going to be what happens. If we keep losing, that's just going to be the question every single time until, like you said, Rodgers goes on IR because he doesn't want to play because we're out. Or we just know that he's done and he's not coming back. So,
and that's the other part of it is that, I saw it last week. I saw it again this week, and people are, and look, he is getting hit. I'm not saying I've said several times he's getting beat up, but the last couple of weeks haven't been that bad. And
since Buffalo, it's been better.
There have been a lot of plays where I'm like, he's got to be at 4 seconds by now. He's got to be at 5 seconds by now, and he's holding the ball and holding the ball and he gets. I mean, this isn't the guy you traded for. And how about some, let's give Hansen a little credit today, stepping in at guard. I thought
he got up to 1 sack, but he was all right.
I mean, look, it's his first game back. He's a third stringer. And Aaron Rodgers, by and large, had plenty of time to throw today. So, give that guy a little bit of credit. But yeah, they, like I said at the top, the season's done. I think Rodgers retires. I don't, when he said before he came here, right? Oh, I had to, figure out if my body would go up to the rigors of an NFL season. That was 2 years ago. He's since had a ruptured Achilles, and he's got 5 injuries now, and he's getting, taking shots. Again, he didn't get sacked a ton, but he got hit. There were a few times, actually, I still, because of his age, when I see him get hit at the tail end of a play and the camera follows the ball, I'm like, where's Rodgers? Where's Rodgers? And he got up
how
every
slow
time,
is he getting up? Yeah.
But he took some shots. He had some guys, landing on him, and it's not a cakewalk back there.
No, but like you said, it has been a lot better since Todd Downing took over. It's been a lot better. Buffalo was a lot better. Last week against Pittsburgh was even better because they had a good plan against Watt. And this week I thought he had a lot of time. A lot of times he's holding the ball long because they have long developing routes. But the number of sacks he took, let's see. San Francisco, Tennessee, New England, he took 5 sacks. Last week he took 1. So in those other 3 games, he took 11. So it was really a cluster of 3 games that he took a lot of sacks, and that's kind of the problem. Is that's what's gotten him hurt. Denver had 5 sacks, Minnesota had 3, Buffalo had 3 when he was already hampered with injuries.
What are the hits, though? You got to see the hits.
Oh, the hits are bad too, obviously. Yeah, but that's just pure sacks. So.
Yeah,
it's tough. He's taking a lot of hits. Pittsburgh, he didn't take a lot of hits. I think maybe like 3 or 4 where I was like, okay, that was a big hit. Because he's getting the ball out fast. But today it was a lot of long developing stuff. It felt like a sack was on him, but one sack was definitely on Hansen. Actually, that was the only sack of the day, right? 1 for 9.
Yeah, 1 sack.
Yeah, so that was the only sack because all 3 guys took over Keon White in the middle. I don't know.
I think that
release, but.
I could be wrong, but I think that was a little delayed blitz, and he didn't see it. He saw that there was nobody coming head up, and he went inside, and then the linebacker blitzed and snuck right past him.
Yeah.
So that's just it was a delayed blitz that worked basically.
Yeah.
But all in all, I was what's that?
I think the offense was fine this game. I know like a lot of people see it a different way, but Conklin got going. He had a really nice seam pass. He had the touchdown, which. Jesus, in contested catch, one-handed. Yeah. Garrett, 4 explosives. Adams, he did his job. He took Christian Gonzalez away.
What did you think of the last one to Garrett? Because I only replayed one time. I thought they ripped it out before he had to establish control.
Yeah, it looked like he didn't establish control, but it looked like his 2 knees hit. He slid. The ball was kind of juggling, and then it like ripped loose as he was sliding on the ground. So like you could either say he didn't survive the ground or he didn't have full possession. But I felt like if there was no bobble before the ball was ripped out, you could have said catch and then ripped out, kind of like the Alan Lazard Hail Mary, where like he went to ground, had it secured, and then it was ripped. But I saw a little bit of movement as he was going. So it's unfortunate there. It was his only like miss of the day. But the other connections with him, I mean, 27 yards, 26 yards, 22 yards in crucial situations, because Devontae was taking Christian Gonzalez away from Garrett Wilson. So it was allowing that freed up stuff. And just off the surface, I mean, they ran a lot of 4x1 sets, which if people aren't familiar, that's not a customary thing in the NFL. A lot of teams don't do it. A lot of college teams do it, where they put 4 guys to a side and they would either like yo-yo motion a guy in and then back out, and they try to get a swing to them or work off that. So they were showing new wrinkles under Downing, and that's the stuff I want to see, is like tweaks to the offense, improvements to like schemes here and there to try to get an advantage. Defense, I swear, they're just running out the same man coverage shit, no contain, and they're just letting anybody, Drake May or Jacoby Brissett, run. And we saw it from week
Reddick
one
lost
against
contain
Buffalo.
On one of those big runs late in the game. That Reddick lost contain, and
but we saw it week one for not for Downing, for Ulbrich in Buffalo. He came out with man-to-man, and Josh Allen is not the guy to go man with, because you need a spy, and they don't spy well. That's why we were afraid of Justin Fields, and then they just lost the 50-50 battles in Pittsburgh. It is what it is. But today, like, they're letting the quarterbacks go run all over him again. And Jacoby Brissett had rush lanes, and he threw it down where they like got 2 yards, and he probably could have rushed for 6. So I don't know. There was times where they're just leaky, and 85 points again in 3 games. They've let up 93 and 5 under Saleh. So like something's got to give. The second half is just atrocious for this defense. I don't think they let up one non-scoring drive to the Patriots in the second half, it felt like. So at this point, something's got to change. I hope he just gives up play calling duties altogether. I think he's a little in over his head trying to do both. The Jets are on offense, and he's talking to
Does it matter,
Rutenberg.
though? Does it matter at this point?
I think it does, because one of those assistant guys could go back to the zone stuff that they were running more of, and maybe it – I'm not saying it's going to spark the defense, because I don't think anything's
But, I mean, even if they run the table at this point, they're probably not making the playoffs.
No, but you have to show life. Like, you're not just going to lay down on the mat. Like, until you're mathematically eliminated.
I'm not saying lay down. I'm just saying what difference would it make in the grand scheme of things?
Well, not changing anything to me would seem like laying down, I guess, because now you've started this wave of change, and it starts with Saleh and Hackett, and then it was Devontae and Reddick, and now you don't have anything else to do but keep making changes. Who's going to be a better coach? And right now, it's not going to be Ulbrich.
Yeah, and
let's see, second half for the Patriots, touchdown right out the gates, 2 punts, a field goal, and a touchdown. So 3 out of 5 scoring drives for the Patriots in the second half. Meanwhile, we're punt, field goal, punt, miss field goal, touchdown, and then we give it right back and end of game.
Yeah, I think Peter is joking there, Daniel, in the chat there. Peter says, but guys, the schedule gets easier. Hope is not lost.
Yeah,
but there is an LOL in there. Peter is kidding.
Yeah.
Hope is lost. Season's over.
Just about.
Bring on the draft talk. I'll probably spend most of tonight watching college games with I'll have some pro on the TV out of my peripheral. But my focus will be on college prospects. And
it's unfortunate.
Again, man.
Halloween next week, and we're here.
Yep. I don't know if you saw my opening line. They might not have heard my opening line.
I don't think we heard it because I was waiting.
Yeah, I said in an NFL tradition, unlike any other, Jets fans can start looking toward the draft before Halloween hits. And
our buddy Gus Toon shouted us out, trying to get ahead of the draft guys, and we appreciate that, because we're going to come on Thursday with at least a couple guys. I'm sure Chris will have a list of guys already locked up in the chamber, ready to go. So it's exciting when you have the fallback of the draft, and I think that's like a cool fail-safe when you're just like a college football, draft football fan in general. Like when shit like this happens, you have the fallback of the draft. So we're here now, and I got to start making my list for sure.
Yeah, and listen, while the Jets aren't in. By the way, did Cleveland win today?
Cleveland won.
Did they? They pulled it off.
Yeah, they pulled it off. Yeah, Lamar was like scrambling at the end. I saw after the Jets game, he was throwing like Hail Marys at the end.
I was going to say the Jets aren't in as bad a shape as Cleveland, but Cleveland might be in better shape than the Jets.
Well, I mean, Deshaun Watson getting hurt. I mean, that's saved the Browns. Truthfully, like I think he was not giving them the best chance to win.
I mean, long term. I mean, the fact that they've got $70 million in cap hits each of the next 2 years, so it won't be quite that bad if Aaron Rodgers retires, but there will be massive cap hits if he does retire. They won't. I mean, look, I like Jordan Travis. I've said a million times. I mocked him to the Jets a couple times. I really liked him, but I'm not counting on him to be the franchise savior as of next year. So they won't have a premium quarterback in the pipeline. They'll have to draft one this year. And they'll have to, work around the cap hits. If you've been listening, Dylan and I disagree here. Dylan thinks Rodgers comes back. I think he retires.
I wouldn't say I think he does. I have reasons why he could. It's not that I think he does, but I have reasons that he could.
And that's fine. And let's say hypothetically he does. Even if he does, it's not like he's been that good. And there's no reason to believe he'll be better or healthier next year. So it could be, it could be more. Look, he threw for as much as we say he's had some picks this year that didn't go his way. He threw one right in dude's face today that he didn't hold on to.
Yeah, but I don't know if you saw my tweet. I don't know if you saw my tweet, and I know PFF is never a perfect science, but like when you watch the games and you match it up, it kind of makes sense. He's only had 5 turnover-worthy plays coming into today, and 4 of them were in London against Minnesota, where he threw 3 picks, and we know the egregiousness of at least 2 of those picks. So, I mean, you have 5 on the season, then you have 1 against Pittsburgh, which I believe was the first interception, the one to Garrett that Beanie turned around and one-handed. So that's 5 on the whole season. So, like, he's really not putting the ball in harm's way. And like I said that in the tweet, it might be like a little bit of like to a fault. He's not putting it in harm's way, but I don't know. I can't really. The pass was probably bad. There was 2 guys like right there crossing. I think it was Conklin over the top who he was trying to hit, who ended up falling over, and then Adams was coming down underneath left to right. So I'll have to watch it again, but that was probably what they would consider a turnover-worthy play. So even 6 on the whole season, and obviously the Patriots couldn't catch anything. It felt like they were giving us every opportunity offensively and defensively.
It was like the Pats didn't want to win that game.
Yeah. And that sack, I think it was a sack that then led to the Greg Zuerlein missed field goal. Everybody knew right away that Greg was missing that field goal, and it just the point after was nowhere near, but the field goal was just as bad.
Yeah, ugly all around. Rusty Spooner says you got Manning coming out in 26. There's no way Manning would come to the Jets. He would pull an Eli.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to do that.
It would be a combo of Peyton and Eli. Peyton said he would go back to school if the Jets wanted to take him, and Eli got drafted by the Giants and refused, or by the Chargers and refused to go. If Arch got drafted by the Jets, he would have Peyton, Eli, and Archie in his ear saying, "You are not going to go." They'll probably tell the Jets before the draft. If you're going to take him and trade him because he's not playing. If they protected Peyton, just imagine the level what they'll go through to protect this kid. So yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah, it's too far down the road either, because like right now we could be picking a guy in 2025 even, depending on how badly this goes. So we got to focus more short term.
The comment said the 2025 quarterbacks suck. Get one in 2026.
Oh, and that's probably true. And depending on where the Jets lie, I mean, they might just have to go another bridge free agent veteran type option. But again, more reason for Rodgers to come back, in my opinion. Give you one more year, regardless of what happens. Then you go seek the quarterback of the future. But we'll see.
I have a question here, not because of the names. This was mentioned on the message board of Jet Nation the other day, and this was my response to it. So I'm gonna pull up Stanley's question here, right?
Okay.
Or comment. Trade these losers. Sauce is overrated, along with Quinnen. Get picks, hire a new GM, and hire a new coaching staff. So names aside, trading anyone, because and I think I mentioned this when I did the "Is Joe Douglas still in charge?" video the other day. If you're the Jets and say now you do decide, okay, now it's time for a fire sale. First of all, who are you trading? And second, who is negotiating these trades? Woody Johnson has taken over personnel. Woody Johnson fired the coach. Woody Johnson traded for Devontae Adams. Woody Johnson signed Hassan Reddick. You're now going to tell the guy, hey, Joe, before I fire you, do me a solid and make me some really good trades. Like Joe Douglas might call Howie Roseman and go, hey, man, if you got a job for me, I'll give you a sauce for a 3, and I'll see you next year. You know, it's like,
yeah, well, could you imagine?
yeah, like
Um,
hey, you guys could really use Quinn Williams in the middle of that defense, and I'd love to share a building with him next season. And I'm not saying this to be a jerk, Stanley. It's a genuine question. If you're the Jets and you're planning on firing Joe Douglas, are you then, before you fire him, trusting him to trade these guys away? Or because now would be the ideal time to teams who know they're in it, teams who want to stock up, and the buyers and sellers as the playoff stretch approaches.
mhm.
Now would be the ideal time. This
Yeah.
is the time where you're probably going to have the most bidders.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's probably this is probably like where their value would maybe be the highest at this point in the season. And obviously you have 2 weeks to trade all these guys if you wanted to do it. But that being said, I feel like since they're not mathematically eliminated, they're not going to look at it this way, and they're just going to hold all their cards.
When are they
Let
mathematically
anything.
eliminated?
I don't know.
Well,
I don't.
they lose
Truthfully, I don't know.
Thursday.
Like I haven't looked, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe if they lose to Houston, and then they lose to whoever it is, Arizona, right before the Week 9 trade deadline, and they're 2-8, or no, they only have one more game before that. So if they lose to Houston, they have the long weekend before the trade deadline. So I don't know. I just don't see any big moves happening. Woody's trying to get 2025 season ticket money at the same time, so he's
I
not
already
going to
mentioned that. I
sell
told
things.
people to make sure they get that
Yeah,
in before.
yeah.
Hopefully, before
So
we sign off tonight, everybody watching will have sent their money to Woody Johnson and his 55 games under 500 or whatever it is.
yeah, it's truthfully pathetic, but that just makes me think they're going to hold their cards. And like I said, if Joe Douglas is fired and they get a new GM in the building, you let that guy make all the decisions, and that's what's going to stop the Woody
No,
meddling at the
but
end
I
of the
mean,
day.
not to cut you off, Dylan. I think and even if this isn't what Stanley is saying, it's what I've heard other people say. Like, start trading guys now. So I'm saying,
No,
who's making the trade?
I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. Even if maybe if they were 0-8, then you could say, okay, we're going to be mathematically eliminated, but you probably
Right.
still have 4 games of not being mathematically eliminated,
You
and
think
then
so? No, they couldn't lose
yeah,
3
yeah.
more games and be in it mathematically. Even if you're in it
No. I'm not
mathematically.
saying like you lose 4 more games. I'm just saying like 4 more weeks of like whatever happens. Even if you go 500, you could still be mathematically eliminated based on what the
Right.
rest of the team does in 4 weeks. So I would still give it like a month until we actually
I
know
guess,
for sure.
and as much as I just said that this is probably when their value is the highest, you do help yourself. The benefit to trading them in the offseason is that teams will have purged their rosters a bit, and more teams will have
Yes.
cap space for,
More
like,
cap
not that
space. Yeah.
Sauce and Garrett don't have big cap numbers, but of course you'll want to re-sign them if you trade for them. So you'll need to
But
be
I don't think they're
negotiating with
getting
teams.
traded regardless. Like these guys are like core pieces, and
Yeah.
Woody got the damn chain with his name on it to match Sauce. So like I feel like regardless, I know he's had a down year, but he's still playing well in coverage. His tackling is very poor, but he looked a little bit better today. He had like one bad in the flat tackle that he missed, but other than that, I felt like he was wrapping up a little bit better, which doesn't say much. But Garrett, I don't think Garrett's going anywhere. Maybe, like I said, if Rodgers retires, maybe like he decides he doesn't want to be here anymore, depending on who the quarterback is. But again, you can't determine that now. You would have to at least wait till the offseason, and that's probably going to be for the new GM to decide what to do with all these guys. But I think most of these guys end up staying more so than leaving.
I don't think they want to trade Garrett, but of all the young guys, I think he's the most likely to say, "Get me out of here."
Brees might. I think Brees over Garrett
I
would
guess
ask for
Brees
a
wouldn't
release or a
surprise me.
trade. Not a release, but a trade.
I feel like Garrett, going back to last year, had the most post-game interviews where he seemed like he was out of it. Like, he coming from Ohio State, like the losing really seemed to be getting to him.
Yep.
And I think another 4 or 5 win season, he might be like, "Yo, like, get me out of here. This is all I've experienced."
Like I said, I think
it.
Rodgers will determine a lot of the offensive guys, like fates, so to speak. Like they might not even bring back Tyron or Morgan Moses. Obviously, it's trending like Tyron's not going to come back anyway. But they might, at the rate he's playing, Morgan Moses might play another year in the NFL. Maybe it's just not for the Jets. So those are the guys that are going to be the decisions that come trickling after Rodgers' decision. So we'll see. I mean, I don't expect anybody to give up until they're mathematically eliminated, and that's unfortunate because now we're in that purgatory state of the season where fans are talking draft and we're miserable, and the Jets, this is where they probably lose or win meaningless games and hurt their draft stock. So it's going to be a nice little fight on social media for Jets fans for sure for the rest of the season.
Yeah, Mike says trade Adams. Do you mean trade Adams, trade Mike Williams, trade Smith? No, I don't think. Well, the thing with Smith, someone mentioned it the other day. The Vikings just lost their starting left tackle, and while Smith has been terrible, is there a chance he's better than the Vikings backup? And might you get a pick for him? Because at this point, and I sent out this tweet the other day, Dylan, asking the fans, and I brought it up on a show. Like, do you think Tyron Smith is still playing because the team respects him as a vet, or because they think he's still better? If right now Tyron Smith, who is arguably the worst tackle in the NFL, if he's better than Olu right now, like there's some serious problems with that Olu pick, because he's arguably the worst tackle in the league. If Olu can't beat him, what I'm saying is play Olu. Like that's season's over.
At right tackle, he looked better than what Tyron does at left tackle for most of the season. So I would take, if he's an upgrade at left tackle, then he is at right tackle even, or the same. That's still better than Tyron. I think it's a total respect thing. He's been declining interviews with the media. So like he's injured. Nobody wants to say anything. It's hush hush. I don't know why. When you have guys on incentives that are game based, why are you playing them? Like it doesn't, I don't know. That's the shit that gets lost on me. Like you have the guy waiting in the wings. Tyron is he's not dying. He's not leaving the team. He's just sitting on the bench. So like he can come back in if Olu gets hurt or struggles. It's just, I don't know. Something's got to give and some changes have to be made. And today, I don't know if he was the problem, but I don't think pass protection or run blocking was the problem at all today.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, Dylan, because I said it earlier. I vaguely recall, I explained earlier that you had a good friend who's a Packer fan, so you've watched a ton of Rodgers over the years. This inability to get a play call in, you said this has always been a thing, right?
Yeah. This is 100% a thing. 3 in the first quarter. I mean, maybe I've seen it once or twice with the Packers, but that's saying a lot over a 2-decade career with the team. And that was rough. It looked like the one he didn't want Ulbrich to take the timeout, and it seemed like Saleh and Rodgers were on a better communication level when it came to those, because when Saleh took the timeout, it's because Rodgers was unaware of the clock. And usually, like I would say 2 out of the 3 times I saw it happen with Saleh, it resulted in a good play call coming in and having a little extra second to get a better look at the defense or whatever they did. And it resulted in a scoring drive at the end of it. So 2 out of the 3 times it worked with Saleh. Today, it didn't seem to be connecting with him and Ulbrich. He looked frustrated with Ulbrich after the one, but I know he's trying to hide his body language, and that's another, thing with Rodgers. And it's a tough look. I hope it doesn't continue, but it probably will. And what was it, 4 on offense they took? And they probably could have used that second half timeout for sure. They didn't really need the first half ones. And the broadcast kept harping on it. Even in like the third quarter, the broadcast kept harping on it, and I didn't really understand why. Like we were past it, and it wasn't like game altering. Now, if the 4th and the 5th timeout came on offense too the same way, which the 4th did, then you can talk about it. But I don't know. The first 3 didn't affect the game. The 4th one kind of did, and it's just frustrating. But I don't know. Again, I can't say like after watching this game, I come away with like Rodgers has to go because he's the problem.
Yeah.
It's tough.
I don't come away with he has to go. I just come away with it doesn't matter that he's here.
I guess if that's like the perspective of like, yeah, we're done. Like I feel that way internally, but like externally, I don't know. Something about it just makes me come back every week and feel like we're gonna win, and then we don't. It's tough.
Like I said the other day, I won't pick them to win another game this year.
No, but like you felt like they were gonna win when they were up 25-17. They just scored 3 minutes to go. It was like now the shoe's on the other foot. We were 0-3 in these situations with 1 score to go, and we had to score. Now, like we're in the driver's seat. We have to stop them from scoring. Come up with nothing. So it's tough either way.
Yeah,
well, we have 8 penalties also for 55 yards. Just bad.
Normally I keep track of that. I didn't pay.
ESPN says 8 for 55. I just scrolled down to look. But 3 for 5 in the red zone. They were 3 for 4, the Patriots. They didn't do anything like passing wise. I felt like our run defense is abysmal. But passing they had 136. So, and we sacked Jacoby twice. It probably should have been more. The DB missed on that all-out blitz that set them up at 1st and goal
Oh
right at
my
the end of the
God!
game. I don't know
Was
who it
that?
was, but it was terrible. It had to have been like Oliver or
That's
Mills or somebody, because I don't think it was
I think
MC2.
it was Mills, and
Yeah.
that's all I was screaming at my television. They're
So
describing the play. Sauce got beat, and I'm just going,
no, it didn't matter. Yeah,
who missed?
yeah, it was an all-out blitz, and he just whiffed. Free
Dove at his legs
rusher,
and
nothing.
like dove at his legs and reached with one arm.
Yep.
Didn't if he would have that was rough. That was pretty bad.
And I said it during the game. I think I tweeted it out. It's like we're so close, but we're so far away in so many aspects, and that's like probably the most frustrating part that gives you like that false hope the most is you see things connecting. Like Rodgers, 17 of 28, 233 and 2 touchdowns. Breece Hall averaged 5 yards per carry. The offensive line lets up 1 sack. Garrett goes for over 100 for what feels like 4 games in a row. All losses. Like I don't get it. Like no matter what happens and no matter what the box score says, just the L in the win-loss column is the most effective one, and that's what we can't overcome.
Yeah, and I think a big thing is, because I was asking myself this a day or two ago, like, okay, where did this all go wrong? Like for a team with this much talent, we know there are very obvious issues, but what's the stuff that isn't so obvious? And like the stuff that you can't account for is the lack of enthusiasm, is how flat they are. Like, great, you have a lot of talent, but you don't seem very excited to play football. Like, that's a problem.
Right.
You can't be excited sometimes and not excited others. You hear about great teams and great players and what it takes and the preparation, and every game is like the Super Bowl and all this. And this team plays like most games are like the preseason. Every now and then we play like it's week 7. But there's never like and you can't account for that. Like, for as much as I talk all this season about the talent, if you told me, okay, well, we've got a crystal ball and we're going to tell you right now they're not going to play with a whole lot of heart, it kind of change your outlook on the season. But and like if Greg Zuerlein, and I said this earlier, Dylan, before you came on, these games, they have enough talent that it shouldn't be coming down to Zuerlein. So I don't mean like he's the reason, but if Greg Zuerlein,
if you're not clutch,
if he were kicking this year like he did last year, they're probably 4-4 right now.
Yeah, at a minimum, probably.
Or better.
Exactly.
At worst, 4-4.
Yeah. So the Jets had their first drive coming out of half. They got the ball. They were up. They were up like a touchdown. They were up at least 1 score. And I wrote in my notes, I said, it's the step on your throat drive. All right. They come out, they run a middle run with Breece for very little yards. Then they run a toss left to Allen for 0 yards. And then they run basically a throwaway where Rodgers gets a big hit by Keon White. And then they punt. Huge punt return by the Patriots, by one of the Joneses. I don't know if it's Marcus or Jack or whoever they got anymore back there. They used to have 3 Joneses, so it's keeping up with the Joneses for sure. But huge punt return. They go down and they score. Momentum is like gone. The team just can't overcome these stupid little moments, and that's what makes you not a good team at the end of the day. Even when they were winning, Dylan, even when it looked like they had a shot, I sat there and I thought to myself, and I almost tweeted it and I deleted it because I try not to tweet every single thing that comes into my head. But I thought to myself, win or lose, this game is going exactly how I thought it would. I thought it was going to be a garbage football game. Yep. And it was. And but I said, I think on the show, sorry. But no, go ahead. I was going to say, I said on the show, like, the offense gave me reason for optimism. The defense, I have no confidence in anymore. And, like, it showed in, like, spades that the offense had life today. They tried new wrinkles. They do new things. They put up 22 points, which it's not enough. They left 4 on the board. Still 26 isn't enough. But they showed life on offense, and they just can't play complementary football. Like, next week, maybe the defense shows up against C.J. Stroud again, and, we'll lay an egg on offense. So it just – 3 phases of football need to come together for this team, and until that happens, nothing is really going to change or get established.
It's a sad state of affairs, but listen, and I said earlier, Dylan, I don't know if you caught it. Scott says, "Can we fire Zuerlein now?" I'd imagine, and you saw Zuerlein on the sideline. He knows he's done.
Yeah, he wasn't smiling this time after he missed.
Yeah, he knows he's gone. He was sitting on the bench, staring off in his face. Zerline knows he's gone,
Oh, yeah.
and he should be. He should be.
They should have signed a guy to the practice squad last week, and
To work
either game day elevated him for emergencies. If Greg missed that PAT and you put in the kicker you signed off the street last week, I feel more confident. Unfortunately, on that 49-yard field goal, I feel more confident going with the practice squad guy that you signed the week before. And that's just where we're at. And like those are things you can't really, predict in the off season, is like the rapid decline of Tyron Smith, the cliff that Greg has fallen off of, and those are meaningful positions at the end of the day. So,
and I said that to someone the other day. I said, you could anticipate a drop off, but you don't anticipate going from being a top tackle to being a borderline, does this guy belong in the NFL tackle?
Right. Yes.
Or at least, among the worst in the league, which is what he is right now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can anticipate, okay, well, what are some things that could go wrong? Okay, maybe Tyron Smith isn't great. He takes a couple steps back. Well, what if he takes 35 steps back? Because that's kind of what's happening. And you would think, oh, that's not going to happen. He might lose a little bit, but he's not going to be that bad. He's been that bad.
Did you notice they put Olu in for a snap? They ran like a little, they might have done it a couple times, but they ran a little jumbo wing to the right with him and I think Conklin or Ruckert attached near the red zone, I believe. And they used him there. There was a 3 tight end formation that they did. I had in my notes that right when they kicked the field goal to go up 16-14, I wasn't sure. It looked like a super wing formation with just Devontae to the left on that missed slant route in the end zone. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it was Fashanu on that one also, but I mean, maybe too little too late, but at least they're trying something like new changes. And like, I don't know, it's obviously too little too late everywhere, but like it's reasons for hope. And that's the little stuff that I like to at least go back to when I watch the games, because you need some kind of positive.
Yeah.
I know it's hard to be positive right now, but that's just.
Yeah, I think Brees had another third down drop on the first drive, just like last week.
Let me see how that went.
On a catchable ball.
So I've gotten to the point in the season where I'm able to take so many notes on each play, because I just I'm not standing up. I'm not excited. I'm not like reactionary. I'm literally just writing down everything that happens on every play. So yeah, the first drive, they come out 12 pistol wing. Oh my goodness, dude. Are they in our DM group chats? I said this to you and Chris. Every single game except for Pittsburgh, they've come out in 12 personnel wing. He's too hurt. They can't go under center anymore. Now they're going pistol wing. It's just every first play of the game is pistol wing or under center wing. They do it to Ruckert, -2 yards. They go outside zone to Brees for 9, then they go empty slant to Brees, incomplete. And originally I said go for it because they were in good field position. They try to use the cadence. It doesn't work, delay a game, punt. But yeah, I think it was like more of a Brees drop than bad pass.
Yeah, it was. That's 2 weeks in a row. Brees had a drop on third down on the first drive. Killer, man. It's as weird as it is to say, I'm glad I was optimistic for a few months, because I needed a break from the misery of this team. The misery of being a fan of this team.
Yeah.
And I got a little break. For a few months, I thought they would be good.
Mm-hmm.
But they are what they are. They are what they've been for most of the last decade and a half. And for much of the time since Woody took over the team. And I think this is where we're gonna be for a while now.
Again,
I don't know.
I don't know if you saw my sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I don't know if you saw my tweet, but I delivered pizzas on my weekend job, and I delivered to a woman who answered the door in a Giants sweater, and she saw my Jets hoodie, and she's like, "I'm so sorry," and I just knew right away what she was talking about, and I was like, "We're in the same boat," and like to say those words to a Giants fan in 2024, it's like with our roster on paper, and I'm tired of the on paper stuff, but you know what I mean? Like what we were from March or April to August, it's just so funny. And then you come out 2-1 and then you're just flat. So just, it's tough when you got Giants fans feeling sorry for you, because they got really nothing going either.
No, they're in rough shape, but someone said in the chat earlier, don't sleep on Jordan Travis. And it's not a matter of sleeping on him. It's a matter of the reality. Like, the odds of a guy drafted where he was turning into a franchise quarterback. It's not impossible, but you can't count on it. So right now, what the Jets have, in my eyes, is an older guy who, and like I said, let's say Aaron Rodgers will either retire or he'll come back and be a worse version next year of what he is this year. So the Jets are without a quarterback now. They probably won't have one next year. Again, even if they draft one, then you're looking at new head coach, new everything, and that's like a 2, 3, 4 year process before that pans out. So
most of the time, again, they could happen fast if you do the right things. But again, are you expecting that 18, 19, 20 different things happen in a row for this team to magically turn it around in like a season or like a season and a half, like some teams have like in front of our eyes? No, I don't think that's necessarily what's going to happen. So yeah, you're looking at either a 2 or 3 year rebuild. Like Rodgers retires, you probably have Jordan Travis and a middle, like an average veteran in the quarterback room for 2025. If like people said the 2025 QB class is not good and you're not in a position to get one and you don't like any of them, you go in with a veteran in Jordan Travis. You hope that you're, treading water, and then 2026 you look to get the new guy. So it's just, that's already 2 years. You're already 2 years.
Look at this one, Dylan. What do you think of this quote?
You got to go in the darkness and make peace with it. Again, like this is like trying to read hieroglyphics with this guy getting into his brain, but I think it's more of like a motivation thing where it's like, I don't know if you saw the tweet about Brees just sitting in full pads, full uniform, sitting there with his head in his hands, towel over his head in the locker room, just like refusing to get changed because it just like he was so shook by the loss. And like there was a quote that said moments of darkness from Ulbrich in the locker room, like giving his speech and all this stuff. So maybe this is like, actual rock bottom for everybody on the team, and they can wake up tomorrow and find out how to be a better version of themselves. But we're not doing the little stuff that gets you 1% better. And like, I know it's a stupid solid quote, but like, where is the 1% better from like anybody on this team right now? It's just like, I can't find it. It's so hard to find individual performances that are just like, all right, we can hang our hat on that. The offense as a whole looked fine, but like, I don't know. It's tough for me to sit there and try to analyze Rodgers' quotes, but I think it's more of like a rallying cry of like, this is what rock bottom looks like. I've been here before. He keeps referencing on Pat McAfee the 4 and 6 starts, the 2 and 5 starts that he's had on the Packers teams, but like this isn't the Packers. We're not a historically well-run franchise, and like
what?
When historically
Super Bowl III, Dylan, come on now.
When historically well-run franchises, when they go through their slumps, they can turn it around a lot quickly because they go back to their fundamentals or whatever they do. They like go back to the things that made them win in the first place. And the Jets have no place to fall back on. That's like, let's go back to this year and be the rallying cry because we've been here before.
Get Joe Namath in the locker room to give a speech.
No, please don't. Please keep him far away. Like everything is just. They're going to lose to Houston by like 40 points. And I know they kept it close with Indianapolis, but like it's a division game, so it's hard to take like what happens in those games as like a harbinger of what's going to happen the next week. But a short week, this team looks banged up. It doesn't look like a lot of these guys are coming back. AVT is probably going on IR. I don't know, man.
I think the most
2 and 8 order.
I think they're just hiding Mosley now. Like he lost the job.
Yeah, he played like one snap. So
and then said he had a neck injury.
Yeah.
They declared him out after one play.
Yep, and Sherwood's playing hurt. Got a wrap on his hand. So you're really stretched thin. Drake May beat Chaz Surratt to the corner on a non-contained QB run for a touchdown. So
yeah,
linebacker became a position of weakness real fast.
Yeah, Tom Thompson. We talked about that earlier. Tom, a little early, but Arch Manning, hero chance. He comes to the Jets. Matthias says Rodgers needs to shut his mouth.
There's only one quarterback we want on Jet Nation. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
if the Jets aren't in position to get him, like we all would probably agree that there's no plan B in the draft unless you go with like a non-first round guy, but those are
you got like Jackson Dart
non-needle
in the second
movers.
round or something.
Yeah, something weird. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. What do you think? It was discussed earlier before you joined in, Dylan. Shador worries me. Prime worries me. Put it that way. I could see that dude getting drafted and then being like, we don't care. Ignore the CBA. Give my kid $55 million a year guaranteed. Like I think he's gonna be a nightmare to deal with. Give me Cam Ward over the drama that is likely to follow with Shador.
Yeah,
that's
I like always
Shador the player.
Yeah, that's always hard to predict. Obviously, Dion being the coach, being the dad, he's
going to be involved a lot.
His gripes with the media already. I mean, it just doesn't really smell like it would work in New York.
I was going to say the New York market.
Because everybody jokes, it's like whoever drafts Shador, like get ready to hire Coach Sanders as your assistant coach in some capacity, whether he's the Twitter coach or he's actually on the sidelines coaching these kids up. And obviously it wouldn't even be an offensive role for him. He's a defensive guy. So it's just a weird look all around. And I hate like bringing those types of things into the draft profile of a player. But even his most recent comments about Shador, where it's like, oh, he's not in the Heisman talk, and he takes a sip of his drink, and he's like, oh, that's because he's my son. I forgot. Like little stuff like that, that's never going to fly in New York, unfortunately. So as much of a talented player as I think Shador is, and he's probably, QB2 on my board, I don't know. I don't see it. I'm kind of a Cam Ward or bust guy right now. I haven't really dug in on some of the other guys, but I'm not like a huge Ewers guy. Missed me with Carson Beck. People were all over him in the summer, and I really didn't. I don't know. Like, yeah, pedigree is good, but Stetson Bennett is a national champion too, and guy got a DUI and is like borderline out of the league, barely holding on with the Rams. So
yeah,
it's tough. It's so hard to talk about quarterbacks when it's October 27th. So it's a weird position to be in, but like I said, Thursday we'll probably have a list of names of guys that we're starting to watch already. And I know your list is already pretty long.
Yeah. Dom asked earlier who were
shout out Dom.
Give me a guy on each side of the ball, and I said Deion Walker, the DT from Kentucky, and Victoria McMillan from Arizona, the wide receiver.
I don't know like the full profile of these guys, but I've watched like enough South Carolina ball. That corner that they got, Eman Worry, I like him a lot. I think he had a pick 6 the other day, or like a pick that was like brought back right into the red zone. I think he had 2 picks that game. So Eman Worry, if I'm pronouncing that right, that'd probably be my defensive guy. Offensively, I like McMillan a lot too. Who's the wide receiver from Alabama? Isaiah Bond? Is that what his name is? Or is he Texas from Alabama?
He transferred,
I like him a little bit on offense. I mean, any Longhorn is pretty
Burden from Mizzou is really nice.
So didn't he have a down game this past week? Probably because I bet on Missouri. But
the thing is, 2 receivers who I really liked that didn't do much as I expected this year. Luther Burden is one, and then Barian Brown from Kentucky. Another Kentucky kid.
Yeah, I had he's a transfer. I had him written down on another team when I did
Are you sure?
Yeah, when I did, maybe not.
He wouldn't have been a transfer this year because I watched him there last year and really liked him.
When I did my research on another team, I remember writing Barian Brown on a note card because I was like, this is a guy for next year.
I mean, everyone has lost the note nowadays, card,
but yeah, I just assume. But I don't know if I have like a guy I'm putting my flag on for offense. I like Emeka Buka from Ohio State. The tight end from Michigan has always been good. I'm just like looking at the list now briefly. I don't know if he'll come out, but Rocket Sanders from Arkansas,
the running back out of North Carolina. That dude is nice.
Yeah.
Explodes, physical.
Great
contact balance.
I don't know if the Miami guy's eligible. Damian Martinez. I like him.
He's another
too.
one. He's a transfer from Oregon State.
Or
Oklahoma State, one of those two. You know how we've talked about teams we confuse?
Yes.
Oregon State, Oklahoma State.
It's the O State. And it's the O State.
Colors are too similar all the time.
Yeah.
But I want to say he was Oregon State.
Yeah. Do you have any knowledge on Nick Scorton, the edge from Texas A&M? I saw people raving about him on Saturday.
Yes,
And I know
watched
the
him
Jets are going to
last
be in the
year.
market for edge. Like, I don't know if he's a first round guy in your mind right now, but it seems like he's trending that way. And like, I was hoping like they'd probably target edge in the second round, depending on where they picked. But if something happens and they, are picking in like the teens, maybe
Right.
this might be a guy.
I'm gonna see.
And can we get a damn safety in here, dude? Like
There's an idea.
Andrew Makuba from Texas. I like him. I don't know if he's eligible. Malachi Starks from Georgia. He's kind of like that star player, slot guy, but
Here's Scorton
yep.
against Michigan off the edge. I want to say I forget his name because I've only watched him once now. I think there was a Penn State safety. He had one of those. I love it when you put on film and you have a guy who like makes every play of a series, like gets all three stops. Someone did that. I watched Oklahoma the other day. I want to say I'm like a backup D lineman who had a tackle at the goal line, then another tackle at the goal line, and then I think he had like a pressure, and then there was a flag. And then on the final play, he got like a batted pass at the line. I was like, this dude just made 4 plays in 4 plays. Now, granted, this game, it was literally the final drive of the game that I think was like 42-17 or something. But still some impressive stuff. But yeah,
I'm
they
sure
got to get
Quincy's done that at some point.
Yeah, he has. They do. They got to get a safety. Although I think the guys, Oliver filled in at safety today. I think he looked all right. Mills had the missed sack we talked about, but they've done nice jobs. But yeah, like let's get a guy in here. I was hoping we'd see Milrow a little bit, because he was active today, maybe. But yeah, by all means, use a pick on a safety at some point. Clearly not a position Douglas values a great deal. He drafted Pinnock, but then Pinnock got outplayed by Adams and UDFA. So they didn't keep both of them. Pinnock a starter now with the Giants.
Yeah, I know they've been hurt and like Adams and Davis didn't play today, but even still, like we didn't value safeties under Rob Saleh because I feel like they were able to mitigate the pressure put on safeties with their zone schemes and the way that they blitzed and pressured with 4. And now you're running the man stuff with Ulbrich, and teams are alert to that. They're just going to run a lot of crossers away from you. And if like we saw the alert to Hunter Henry, they picked up like a 3rd and 11 because Oliver was 15 yards off the guy, and it looked like zone, and it was man coverage. And Hunter Henry had a free release, easy alert pass for 11 yards, and they picked up the first down. So I don't know. I feel like they're putting a lot more stress on their safeties in this style of defense that now you need a guy. And Kyle Hamilton's making plays in Baltimore, and I'm not saying I would rather have Kyle Hamilton over Garrett Wilson, who they would have had to draft in that situation. Yeah. But a guy of that caliber was kind of available all summer long in Justin Simmons. So
yeah, just weird. I don't know how he's playing.
I don't know how he's playing either, but like something, Quandre Diggs, something. I'm not following the careers of these guys just because they almost were on the team, but something has to give at this point because it's not enough.
Yeah, it's not enough. Same old story for the Jets. Never enough. I'm Glenn Naughton. You can follow me on Twitter at JNRadio_Glenn. You can follow Dylan at DTereman. And Chris Schubert will be with us. I'm anticipating Thursday night. Like I said, he's probably doing his lockdown rant now.
Oh, we have a game Thursday. We got to do something early.
Yeah. Oh, that might be tricky. Halloween. I'll be out with the kids trick-or-treating that time. Let's see. Maybe Wednesday.
Do the show Wednesday. Yeah, like a whole day early. Yeah.
I'm working Wednesday. All right. You might not have. We'll see. We'll work something out. Again, at JNRadio_Glenn on Twitter. What's that?
This damn schedule. The Jets don't deserve any of these primetime games.
Well, listen, next year it's all 1 o'clock games.
Oh yeah, the NFL joked and they did it last year with Rodgers and they fell for it and he got hurt, didn't happen. Yep. And then they did it all again this year. And it's like, dude, like when are you going to realize the Jets are not good primetime football product for the NFL? It's just it's good if you want to lop on and hate on the Jets, but like sure. Yeah, and I guess negative ratings or ratings at the end of the day, or negative views or views at the end of the day to them. So,
yep.
1 o'clock for sure.
At JNRadio_Glenn for me, at DTereman for Dylan on Twitter. That'll wrap this one up. Sorry the Jets suck. Sorry the season's over. Lots of draft talk coming from now until the draft. Have a good one, Jets fans.